All right, are we ready to go? Oh, yeah, we are.
Is it live? Okay.
It shows that it's streaming on YouTube. Let's see. I need to be elevated to a co-host, please. Thank you. All right, Ed, I just elevated you to panelist. It's going to take a minute. There we are. Ed, can you hear us? Danielle, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
I got you.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. December 16th, 2020. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the
of the
republic
republic
which
it stands,
one
one
nation
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call, please, sir?
Ms. Combs,
Here, electronically from my residence.
Mr. Ricks,
Electronically from Westminster, Colorado.
Mr. Smith, electronically from my residence, Mr. Swayze,
Here, electronically from home.
Mr. Underwood.
Here, also electronic from my residence. All right, brings us to modification, approval of the agenda. I'd like to make two motions. Number one, to strike 9.2 amended budget and to add 9.2 audit extension. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Do I have any other motions to modify the agenda? All right, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. Motion carries. The agenda is approved. That brings us to 4.0, open forum. Mr. Dusling, sir, you have the floor. Oh, I guess we're going to have to let him talk, aren't we? Oh, sorry, I muted you. Go ahead and unmute yourself again. Sorry
Hello?
about that.
Can you hear me?
We got you.
As members of the board, my name is Charles Dusling. As you know me, I am here representing the Kirkana Park Board. I am coming to you guys, in front of you guys, to ask your guys' permission. We would like to put two structures up in the park. One would be a lean-to where we do our tractor pull at. And the reason for this is our tent has gotten destroyed from the last Kirkana Park tractor pull that we had with the winds and everything. The second structure we would like to put up is a stage, which would be to the east of the basketball court, which would enable us to put concerts on and be able to use the basketball court as a dance floor. None of this would cost the school district any money. All wood and materials would be bought, paid for, and donated by park board members. All labor taken to put into this would be done by the park board and community members. We're just coming before you and asking more or less your permission to be able to do this.
Okay, so I believe haven't we addressed this or something similar to this in the past? And my one and only concern is the potential impact to our property insurance. If we could get a call on that, Mr. McNerney, if you would kindly call our insurance and see whether or not our insurance would go up, and if so, by how much. Personally, I'm not at all opposed to any of this. I just need to make sure that we characterize the potential, financial impacts to the district for doing this. So hopefully we can get you an answer back by next board meeting.
Well, and I also know, and I know it's on residential, but it might also be the same for, I guess in this case, commercial. Anything over 200 square feet does need a permit, even if it is a lean-to. So, I mean, we could get an agricultural exemption, but that's, that type of paperwork, background stuff we need to make sure we have in place.
Roger that. All right, anybody else have any comments on that? All right, so Mrs. Casey Jackson signed up, but she sent me an email a few minutes ago saying that she was feeling a little bit under the weather and was not going to be in attendance. So that closes out open forum. That brings us to 5.0 consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Combs. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood,
Aye. All right, the motion carries. Brings us to 6.1 board member comments. Mr. Swayze, sir.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Combs.
I just want to say, I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas break, all the teachers, all the students and parents. And I just want to say everyone stay healthy over Christmas break and enjoy the holidays, making memories as best as you can during these unprecedented times.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
So kind of echo on Ms. Combs. So want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hope that you do enjoy the Christmas break and that time that more time that you have together as a family. And I want to encourage everyone as you have that time together, find something that you can do that might be a little different that you don't normally do. One thing my family's done is we do Friday night game nights. Just try to come together, and as different and difficult as the year's been, let's try to, as we end it out, try to end on a good note and find those true blessings that are out there and take care of ourselves and each other and those that are around us. That is it.
Thank you. Mr. Rick, sir.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that I noticed that the R factor seems to be going down. And I know that I believe it's January 19th. I may be wrong on that date, but if things are where they need to be, we might actually be having in-person education again. That's pretty exciting. So that's something great to look forward to. And just the reports that we get are amazing. And just, again, keep trucking, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks to everyone.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. So, those of you that don't remember, which is probably everybody, a few months ago, we decided that we were going to postpone our search for a superintendent until January. And I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to call a special board meeting on January 6th, wherein we are going to vote on a resolution to form the hiring committee for our superintendent for next year. I talked to Mr. McNerney and, you know, there's some other personnel, especially personnel actions, especially in the administrators area that need to be addressed as well. And, you know, it's probably best if the superintendent, whoever that is, addresses those issues. So I'm going to ask in my resolution that the committee conduct their business and complete it in such time as the recommendation is ready for the February regular board meeting. That'll give you about 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks to sit down, talk about what the job posting needs to look like, post it, do the interviews, and come up with a recommendation. And then, of course, to reiterate what everybody else said, you know, I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, and a safe, happy, and healthy New Year. Mr. Superintendent, sir.
Thank you. So I'm going to try and follow the lead of the school board. I just want to first say thank you to the school board members for your support and tolerance and flexibility in supporting me and what we're doing. But let's keep a positive tone going here. So first and foremost, I want to thank our business services manager, Pat, food services, Melissa, operations and facilities, Chuck, all the leaders in our building, PHE, Michelle and Brittany, the work you're doing, Brett filling in for me and helping lead the junior senior high school. And I gotta say, our executive assistant does not get the recognition. And I'm going to publicly say to her, and I don't know if she's on or not, but Ms. Ricks, thank you for everything you do in keeping this district going, because you are in charge. On that note, then, let's fly. First and foremost is the end of semester is coming. We're doing our finals. We've got things going. Attendance. Right now, district overall, we are at almost 93% remote learning, district comprehensively. And I get the privilege, and I will say privilege, I'm learning a ton, but the attendance across PPASA, Pikes Peak, Jeffco, Denver, Douglas, did a little homework. If they're getting close to 85, they're lucky. And that's where I come back out to kudos to our staff, our faculty, and I just think they're doing amazing work. So if you get a chance, socially distanced, hug, virtual, but do that. This staff, PHE, everybody is supporting our kids and the parents and community. It's so different than last March. I just got to say thank you to the parents and community for supporting what we're trying to do. It's not easy. It's not fun, but we have had parents stepping up and just taking the lead and helping us. And I don't know how else to say that, but thank you. Part of my philosophy has been, when you have a crisis, you can be a part of it, maybe even create it, or you can use it to get better. And this, to me, is we're getting better. And I'm so glad. We're going to be doing a presentation in just a minute about academics and some of the growth that we've seen despite this challenge. Ms. Cheeseman is going to be talking a little bit about an ELG literacy grant that she has stepped up, and it's $100,000 a year for 4 years. We're going to send out some good energies for that. The PHE PTO on 11/23 did a food drive and was hugely successful. We have to pay kudos to Chief Tatum for taking her around. So thank you, Chief Tatum. If you're getting a chance to hear this or pull it up on reserve. Our PTSA, Saturday the 12th, did an outreach closet at the admin building and had almost 90 kids show up for receiving what they wouldn't normally get to receive. This is part of our community where I just got to say, it's why you're part of Hanover. I just am so proud to be affiliated and a part of it. El Paso data, Mr. Ricks, you mentioned, fortunately, I have to say, the meetings that I get to attend, I did last Friday, are weekly now. And the El Paso County Health Commission and epidemiology are now, fortunately for us, Dr. Leon Kelly is part of reporting to Mr. Polis. Friday, we got to hear from Dr. Early, epidemiologist for Colorado Department. And in a paraphrase to Mr. Rick's positivity, we're not seeing the spike we thought with November because, and what they're attributing it to, is Thanksgiving. People were abiding by policy, by guideline, by doing what they can do to help everybody else. And to Mr. Smith's point, everybody is chipping in, and it's not easy. But we haven't seen the spike they were anticipating. Now, Christmas holiday break is coming. I just gotta say, I'm part of it. Let's continue it going so we can get back to school the 19th. Met with cabinet yesterday to talk about 19th and potential changes with that. We are going to stay the 19th for safety reasons. The data still is challenging, to say the least. But if everybody can contribute, again, myself included, keep it going, because I think we're gonna take on this virus and we're gonna beat it. So the data is suggesting it's still not good, but it's going down, which is what we want. R factor, Paul, we haven't seen in I don't know how many weeks below 1. So that's a good sign. Positivity is dropping. Cases per day or cases per 100,000 are dropping. Let's just keep it going so we can get our kids back and make it happen. And that's my report.
Thank you.
I'm going to start, Randy.
Yeah,
So
please,
for
go ahead.
okay. For DAC this week, we talked a little bit briefly. One of the issues we had for PHE was some issues with some of the iPads. They are some older ones, and Tim let us know that he's working on a grant to be able to replace some of those at the elementary school. We talked a little bit about some connectivity issues for parents or students and teachers, and open communication and on the whys to just keep everyone on the same page. Like Tim touched on, the attendance rates are holding really strong in the district, which is phenomenal to see. The budget, I know you guys are going to touch on that later, so I won't go too much in for that. PHE will be doing some testing when we get back in January. But one thing we're really excited about is this year our seniors will be the first graduating class to be nationally benchmarked. So pretty proud of that fact. Hopefully we'll get to see some sports starting again at the end of January. And then kind of what Tim touched on for the food drive, it was actually hosted by Student Council at PHE. So I want to make sure they get the right credit for that. They also hosted a Zoom dance party, which a lot of the kids were really excited about. And it was pretty exciting that they were to help that local family in need out here. The middle school hired a new long-time term sub. There's an adjusted final schedule that'll be up on the website. And again, like Tim talked about, Lindsay and her PTA over at the junior senior high school did an amazing job with that community outreach. She was pretty phenomenal to partner with myself and the PTA at PHE and let us be a part of that. So we were also able to get some trees and stuff for some of the families. So we appreciate her. And then we also discussed that literacy grant, which, you know, for being a PHE parent, we were pretty excited to hear about some of the opportunity that we had coming forward. So that's about all we had there for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. That brings us to 8.1 comprehensive policy review. So yeah, I'll spare you all the gory backstory and details, but we need to initiate another comprehensive policy review. There were some administrative things that didn't get taken care of properly at the end of the last one, and there have been some significant policy changes in the past 6 months, as you can imagine. Most of them dealing obviously with COVID. And so you'll see when we get to 8.3 that we're gonna change our policy to specify when we do those checks against our policy revision dates versus CASB current policy. Also, yeah, I guess, and we'll talk about it more when the policy comes up, but yeah, so this is just really a heads up. We're going to initiate a comprehensive policy review. I don't think it's going to be as labor intensive as our last one because of how much work we did with the last one. I just want to give everybody a heads up that it's coming, and I'm going to need everybody's help to get this done, and we'll go from there. All right. Does anybody else want to say anything about the upcoming comprehensive policy review? No. Okay. That brings us to regulation KDBR, public's right to know, freedom of information. As most of you probably know, in the past 6 to 9 months or so, we've had a fair amount of core requests, and what that brought to our attention was that we didn't officially designate records custodian, and that's a term that's used in the core request statutes. So we felt we needed to officially designate one, and so and the other changes we're making to the policy is if any staff member or any board member gets a request, to forward that request to the records custodian. And then once the records custodian has formulated a response, to copy the board on the response or let the board know what the response is going to be before it's sent out. So any questions, comments, discussions on that?
So we would designate who we want this custodian to be. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. In the policy, it says it's the superintendent.
Okay.
Or in the red lines to the policy.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, so unless there's any objections, we'll move that forward to second read next month. All right, hearing none. That brings us to 8.3, policy BG, school board policy process. Basically, kind of sort of alluded to a little bit in 8.1. What we're going to do is twice a year, in January and in July, we are going to check the last published dates of our policies against the last published dates of the CASB Core Policy Manual. And then we are going to queue up, if you will, the policies that need to be changed. And I can't imagine it'll take, as long as we stay on top of it, I can't imagine that it'll be a gigantic effort. Also, another thing that this proposed change says is that, so I don't know if the other board members are on this distro, but there's 2 newsletters that CASB sends out about policy changes. And one of them is called Policy Parameters and the other one's called Special Update. But anyway, so if one of these 2 newsletters comes out saying that certain policies need to be changed, as long as that newsletter comes out more than a week before the board meeting, we're going to update those policies at the next board meeting. If it comes out within a week, then we'll do it at the one following. So that's all the changes that are in there. Questions, discussion. All right.
So we're not going to change that to the Monday after a board meeting to check and move forward.
I didn't specify the day of the week. I thought that might have been a little too specific.
I just think as we're looking at it as we're going about the business of the board, if we get that special newsletter the week before a board meeting, that might not be timely enough to get business done. So I'd rather see that be that we are checking it right after the board meeting, maybe that week of after the board meeting, to give us 2-3 weeks to get it done. Because depending on what happens, sometimes there can be quite a few, and they can be based upon what I've seen from some of their policy updates. Sometimes they can be a little controversial, and we might need to work on them more. And I'd hate to pigeonhole us into a week's time frame to really do some comprehensive work, because as you know, working on that comprehensive policy review, it sounds easy on paper, but when you put the pencil to the paper, it can definitely bog down.
Yeah, true. All right. So if you would go into the Word document in the board packet and propose some language that you think more appropriately fits the situation and the timeline, we'll look at that for the next board meeting.
And most certainly I'll do that.
All right. So any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion?
So one more thing I'd like to add is, as we look at the mechanics of this policy, I think it's a great idea that we put it in the process in place, and that it's looked at cyclically, so that we're not caught having to, 20 years from now, a board that's here 20 years from now isn't doing a comprehensive policy review on policies 20 years old, which is what happened when we started ours. So I think it's a good leap forward, to keep us doing the business we should be doing.
Mr. Swayze, sir, you want to say something?
No, I just was agreeing with Dwight, because we want to make sure we stay on top of them. Don't want to go through what you guys did
2 years ago. Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody note that on your calendar, December 16th, 2020. Ed agreed with Dwight.
It's a Christmas miracle.
All right. That brings us to 8.4, and superintendent has the floor, sir.
So continuing the positive aroma. Thank you, Mr. Swayze and Mr. Smith. We're breaking ground here. We have an academic progress report I would like to submit for the well-knowing of our community and our kids and our staff. And our staff is aware, but let's brag about it a little bit. right now, we have 2 students of our senior class that, oh, all right, let's go to Miss Besson. Miss Besson, are you there? She's got your PowerPoint up. Let's do Miss Besson first.
I'm here.
Okay, can I, just a second, Angel?
Yeah.
What we're trying to do, to draw preface to this, with the struggles we've been encountering with reading, particularly in the middle school, Miss Besson has graciously stepped forward and said, how can I help? So what we did was I purchased a Read 180 canned program. I used this at a prior building that I was at for 4 years. And by the time we left that high school, there was not one student in the high school, 9 through 12, 1,200 kids, that was not at grade level. So I thought, you know what, we've got some CARES money. Let's see. And then we asked Miss Besson, our reading interventionist, math interventionist in the middle school, if she would take charge with this. And she has done more than that. So we have a couple of minutes here. I'd like for her to regale to you what it is she's done, where the middle school is, and some of the growth that she has empowered. Miss Besson.
Thanks. Hi, guys. So not gonna lie, I could brag on these kids all night. They have done such an amazing job. So with the Read 180 program, I wanted to let you know, before we implemented this program, I came into the reading essential classes, literally spending every day with them, trying to figure out where exactly they were at. There was no motivation. There was, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I can't do this. Very down on themselves. And it was hard. We got the Read 180 program, and thankfully this program is wonderful. We have coaches that I meet with to see where our progress is. Great program. Anyway, so we have, the slide isn't up, but right now we have currently 34 students in Reading Essentials, that is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Those students, including the rest of the middle school, are significantly below grade level in their reading, comprehension, fluency, all of it. This program is built to be an intervention tool. It teaches them, it helps them. So when Tim first got the program for our school, we only had the license for the Read 180 program. Since then, the Read 180 program has actually come together with the System 44, and they have integrated those two systems together. The System 44 actually takes our lowest Lexile scored kids that are already in Reading Essentials, and it starts personalizing and it starts pinpointing what exactly it is they need help with. If you will go to the next slide, sorry. So the kids started out, we didn't get the program until the middle of September. So what we did is the kids started out with taking 3 different assessments. They did a mindset, and that is just where are they at right this second, the very beginning of the program. Then they did a phonics, and then they did a Lexile assessment. Now these kids, they went in, they were troopers, they had no clue what they were doing. I gave them headphones and was like, let's do this. First assessment was taken on September 24th, 2020. I ask that you please remember that date. You want to go to the next slide? After every 30 days, we can retest to get a progress report. So on September 24th, our 8th grade Reading Essential class took their first 3 assessments. As you can see, the Lexile score, the average was a 302, which is really, really low if you know anything about Lexile. And then the phonics and the fluency, you can see we were at 16.0. In December, the beginning of December, I did a progress report on the 8th grade reading class. If you guys can see, the average now is at 500. We had 196 point growth in these kids. The fluency and the phonics, we are at an average now at 21.5. We have a growth of 5.5. One thing I will tell you is when I have these coach meetings, one thing they have really explained to me is that we don't see usually progress until about the 2nd semester into this program. We started September 24th. The beginning of December, these kids retested, they redid these assessments, and we already have this kind of growth. They are amazing. 7th grade, and I will tell you, we had one 8th grade student, actually we had 2 8th grade students. When they did their NWEA, they scored a 0 in their reading, bottom of Lexile. When they did my assessment, one of them went up almost 400 points and the other one went up 688 points from this program. I just wanted, because it made me so happy. 7th grade, you can see our average was 693, phonics 18.5. We are now at an 842. That is a growth of 74 points. And our phonics went up 19.9. So we're seeing growth that Read 180 is telling me we shouldn't be seeing until 2nd semester. 6th grade. We started out pretty low in 6th grade too. They were, as you guys can see, they were at a 381. Our growth, we went to 464. And that was, like I said, the beginning of December. The numbers on the growth, I mean, that's 90 points as an average for the whole class. And like I said, I get kind of passionate about this because these kids are amazing. They work, they love it. They get to, once they get past the mindset, they get to kind of critique what they want to learn about. And they don't even realize that as they're going through it, they're improving. The mindsets for this last assessment were completely different from the beginning. We have a rule, there's no negative talk in my class. And these kids, instead of going, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm so dumb, or hitting themselves in the head, they're like, oh, I'm kind of smart. Oh, I can do this. Like, so proud of them. The next couple of slides is really just kind of breaking down what CARES covered for our 1-year license. We started out with 32 license, and then I ended up getting a couple of more students in. Poor Tim, I hounded him and hounded him and hounded him. I was like, I need more license. I need more license. Thankfully, we were able to get them. And so that has been, we've been able to cover all of our students that are now in Read 180. What we're hoping to do is, because we have seen so much progression in such a short amount of time, we are actually looking to try and implement the Math 180 program. It is really a copycat of Read 180, except it is strictly intervention for math. And I believe that if we get both of these programs in place, these kids are going to soar. How they have struggled and just beat themselves up. It's been amazing how I've been able to see that change, how, Tim and the other middle school and everybody has seen the change and the progression in the other classrooms, all because of this program and the effort that they're putting into it. So that's just a little bit about the Math 180 that we are hoping to be able to put in place for both intervention classes. Currently, right now, we have 28 students in the middle school math essentials. Every one of those students is well below grade level. The rest of the middle school students are they're struggling even with their grade level math. So between the Read 180 and the Math 180, we're looking at, providing a higher level of comprehensive learning to get these students, all of our students, to grade level. And I believe that they can go further. I mean, they're great. We can use this when they're in the classroom and we can use it when they're virtual. So very flexible program. The last slide, really, it gives some points, on the program where we've had the large jump in the Lexile scores in the small amount of time that we have been using it. The last coaching meeting that I had, her mind was absolutely blown. She said she is stationed in Denver, and she said that a lot of the other schools that she is trying to work with right now has not seen anywhere near the growth that Hanover has. And so she was like, that is awesome. I'm bringing this up in my next board meeting. And so she even praised our school and our kids on how amazing they're doing. So that's really all I got.
Thank you, Angel. So I'm just going to close that off with something that's very interesting. There's a misnomer that when you buy devices, kids will learn better, which is an absolute lie. It's not the device that does the learning, it's the teaching for the device and how to use it. So nothing but kudos to Miss Besson and her dedication to making this program work for our kid. We're going to try and see if we can't sustain that. In the essence of time, Miss Assistant, if you would just go to the summative tab in that document I submitted for you. What I'm going to review and piggyback on what Miss Besson we just reviewed. This year's senior class is our first class to be nationally benchmarked by College Board. They are at 1020 together. 1010 is national benchmark. That's about 12 million kids, nationally benchmarked. With that, we have 2 kids that applied to CU for engineering. We had a senior apply to New England, University of New England in Maine. And we have actually one of our students applying to the School of Mines. So 5 of our 9 are stepping out. And I'm just so proud of them. And I'm not saying that's the all, end all, be all, leave the nest, but for the kids, to what Miss Besson was speaking about, for them to have the courage to say there is something else and I can do it, I have nothing but kudos for them. So they're doing super good. Making items short, because I don't want everybody to be here all night. We did on future date. Normally that's a practice PSAT, SAT, and CMAS. We did it, excuse me, for the state because we didn't get to do it last April. So when they said, do you want to do it? I stepped up and said, let's do it state. And our kids did. The results, you just heard about the seniors. Freshmen, we have when you say benchmark, it's really important to understand what a benchmark is. If a student is benchmark, they have a 70% chance of getting a C at a college level class in that content area at that grade level. So if we have juniors that are benchmark, they could take a college class right now if they're benchmark and get a C probabilistically. They could do better. If they're a benchmark, they also statistically have a 50% chance of getting a B or better in the aforementioned. Keep that in mind when I regale you with what is a benchmark. 9th grade on a state college board test, 21.7, almost 22% of the entire class is benchmark in all 4 content areas. That really, holy cow. Thank you, middle school, and thank you, high school, for what you're doing. We had 12.94% growth in reading and writing and almost 11% growth in math during pandemic time. What does that tell you about our teachers? And what does that tell you about kids starting to say, you know what, some of these stupid tests matter? The relevancy of assessment is what we're trying to build vertically in our district on why should I take these stupid tests? They're starting to see it. And I have nothing but kudos to say to our counselor with her ICAP, blah, blah, blah. With the 10th grade, we had a plus 13% read write growth and a plus 1% growth in math. In the 11th grade, we were challenged a little bit, but here's my thought. We regressed benchmark ready and all by almost 22%. And in reading and writing and math, we regressed 10% and a little more. And here's what I did when I did the look fors and I got with my staff and talked about it. We had 4 kids that last year as sophomores were benchmark. This year did not even come close to benchmark. So I think if we got those 4 kids together and said, is this really who you are? That would skew this data quite a bit. The 11th grade together, we had a lot of great scores, but as a comprehensive class and a small class, statistically, one person does make a huge impact. So we're going to get together with them before April and say, really, I don't think this is who you are, and go through the process. And again, with the seniors, we had 12% read write growth and 22% math growth. It's going the right way. And I gotta say, I'm so proud of them and what we're trying to do as a district and what Ms. Cheeseman's doing vertically in trying to get the rigor going where it needs to go with relevance. It's not just cool to say it. Why do we need to do it? And get the kids and parents. The community is starting to support this, and I'm so proud of that. So a lot of what I submitted to the board packet, if you take some time to review, please give me a call. I'll be happy to go through it. I love this data. I'm really weird that way, but nothing but kudos for academic progress, because with the pandemic, we're seeing nothing but regressions, and our staff and students are saying, no, we're not doing that. And so that's why I wanted to put that in there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions, comments, discussion on the presentations? I just have one. Ms. McNerney, if you decide to go ahead and jump on board with that Math 180, make sure that you get a good cost estimate and put that in the amended budget in the appropriate line item. And, assuming we can afford it, I'm sure the board will approve that.
Well, and part of what I didn't say, and Angel addressed it, the thing that makes this so unique is it's a modulated approach. The kids you have to go to 3 different stations during the class. One is computer to listen and sound. And that is statistically what is showing the greatest growth. If kids can hear it and then say it on their screen, and then they get a computer set, and then they get instructions. So they go through 3 modules in a class. And that's where I experienced super growth. So when we had the opportunity, yes, if we can sustain this, I would like to show me somebody that says this doesn't work. So, yes.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to 9.1, 2020 policy review, temporary approval, first read. Do I have a motion to approve 9.1?
I'll make a motion to approve 9.1.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second it.
I don't know who got in there first. I'll let Mr. Smith sort that out.
Mr.
All right,
Mr.
so-
Swayze.
Oh, was it Mr. Swayze that got in first? Awesome. So, there have been some significant revisions in the policies listed in the cover sheet. Generally so all the GBGs are staff leave related, and ICICA is a revision that's needed for student attendance remotely with COVID. And then the J's are discipline, and I forget the other one. I'd have to look it up. It's all in the packet. So do we have any questions, comments, concerns, discussion on the red line policies? No. Okay. Then call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. All right. So that brings us to 9.2, audit extension. Do I have a motion to approve 9.2?
I'll make a motion to approve 9.2.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. It's pretty simple. The audit is supposed to be turned in by December 31st. Our audit hasn't even started yet, so we need to request an extension. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion on this? All right, hearing none. Thank you. Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. Motion carries. Brings us to 9.3.
Ray, can I
Early,
say something real quick?
no, don't tell me. Well, call me after the meeting. Because I know,
Okay.
and I just don't want it said here. All right, 9.3, early
I'm gonna
literacy
go in with
grant.
Pat.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Ed.
No, go. Let's go.
No, please go ahead. I'll let you say your piece.
Pat and I are gonna work on that and do it together. I've already emailed her, as I emailed
okay.
you and told you I'd go see Pat.
Yeah. So it's all good, right? It just got to be
Yes.
done before the 31st.
That's all I wanted to make sure that you knew I was doing that.
Yeah, Pat sent me this nice little PowerPoint with step-by-step instructions from the website, so I can't imagine it would take very long. All right, that brings us to 9.3, early literacy grant application. Do I have a motion to approve 9.3?
I'll move to approve 9.3.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So thank you, sir. As Mr. McNerney alluded to earlier, Ms. Cheeseman has been burning the midnight oil in writing this grant. And actually, it was due last Sunday. I took an executive action without a board meeting to go ahead and sign the application on behalf of the board. But the decision still needs to be ratified through board vote. I believe the entirety of the application is in the board packet. Questions, comments, concerns, discussion, please.
Well, to be clear too, you didn't just take that, you did contact us via email and we all agreed that would be the action taken, just in case.
Well, I didn't ask your permission. I told you I was going to do it, and I told you I was going to put it on the agenda just because, you know, we can't make a decision over email and everything. That's kind of sort of a meeting or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, nobody objected, and, you know, I don't know if anybody would object if this was done in the normal cycle. But,
right.
It was due on Sunday, so I just went ahead and signed it. And, you know, if the board doesn't vote to approve going for this grant, then we'll just deny the funds when they come in, if they come in, if we get the grant.
So I had a couple questions for Ms. Chessman on this. I see she's elevated so she can speak, which is wonderful. The first question is my understanding is this is a continuation of the current literacy grant that we already have had for the last 3 years. Is that correct on my part?
No, actually, that's not correct. The grant last year was a 1-year grant. And that was for, I'm not sure however much that one was for, but that was for a 1-year grant. This is a separate grant. And that grant last year was just to write curriculum, and which was done. We wrote the reading curriculum. And then this year, this grant would be for 4 years. And this is actually to establish instructional systems for teaching and provide PD. And this would actually allow us to have a consultant and a literacy coach for the next 4 years. So
it was my understanding that a couple of years past, we did have a literacy coach. Was that assumption incorrect?
You know, I'm sorry, I wasn't here then. I don't know if you did or not. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so if I understand correctly, this grant is going to give us a literacy coach that's going to be able to provide professional development for our teachers and assist them so that they can help with interventions in reading, so that our students are more on track to be closer to their grade level. Is that correct?
Actually, the ELG consultant will be providing all of that. The literacy coach basically would be there to support the ELG consultant when the ELG consultant is not there, because the literacy coach would be at the school part-time, because we can't afford a full-time literacy coach. So the literacy coach would be the support. The ELG consultant would be basically the one providing all the other services.
Right, but the end goal is to increase our students' reading ability. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And Dwight, can I just chime in too with this, or is it just
sure.
direct? Okay, thank you. So bottom line is, what we're trying to do, as you alluded to, Dwight, is the elementary school needs sustainability to measure progress. But the bigger part to that is, most schools have an instructional coach. Ms. Cheeseman was one. And that coaching coaches the teachers to do the work. So we're building what teachers may not have, coaching the coach. And you know, from an athletic lens and from any other analogy you can draw, is building capacity is sustainable. This will help us in getting sustainability with great teaching, in getting kids what they need instructionally and material.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. McNerney, and thank you, Ms. Chessman, for that. I look forward to seeing some, of course, seeing some data on this as the year progresses or beginning of next year, and look forward to that improvement.
Yeah, so actually, if you guys look at the application, if we correct me if I'm wrong, we'll be notified by the end of January, right? Whether or not we get it, and we'll actually start getting money in March. So, I don't know, how much of an impact that'll have for this school year, but it'll definitely get us poised to hit it hot and heavy next school year. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion? All right. Hearing none, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, so that brings us to 9.4, policy BE and exhibit BE-E, school board meeting second read. Do I have a motion to approve BE and BEE?
I'll make a motion to approve BE and BEE.
Thank you, Mrs. Combs. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, sir. So last month we did a temporary approval first read. And what this allows is for the entirety of the board, all 5 members, to participate electronically without, what do you want to call it? Without, counting against us for not participating in a board meeting, and allows us to have a quorum electronically. It's the new COVID way. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not true. My bad. I've confused the two. This is the temporary approval first read from last month, where we decided that from henceforth, we shall have all of our meetings, when we have them in person, at the administrative building. I apologize for the confusion. Any other questions? All right, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Nay.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. That brings us to 9.5, policy BEAA, electronic participation in school board meeting second read. Do I have a motion to approve 9.5?
Make a motion to approve 9.5.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, so this is what I described earlier, where we can do a fully electronic board meeting. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion? Okay, hearing none, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye, motion carries. All right, so that brings us to 10.0 information updates. As always, I want to thank everyone who took time out of their busy schedule to provide us these information updates. Very much appreciated. I do not have any notes on them. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
I just want to say thank you for all the detail and all of them. I appreciate it, and y'all do amazing with them.
Anyone else? All right, that brings us to 11.0 other business. Do we have any other business? I do have one item of business, other business. And that is that, so we changed the agenda earlier to not do the first read of the amended budget. We're just not ready yet. We'll get there. CARES Act funding is kind of throwing a little wrench into the gears. But as you probably know, hopefully know, that our amended budget has to be approved with any resolutions that need to go along with it by the end of January. So I've been assured that the data documentation will be ready in time for us to do the first read at our regular board meeting on in January. And then we'll just have to have a special in the last week of January to do the second read and approval. Hopefully that'll give the DAC enough time to look through it. And then once that is done, we can start focusing on next year's budget. So that's all I had on other business. I just wanted to explain why we moved the budget out. We just weren't ready. Is there any other business? All right, hearing none. That brings us to 12.0 adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
All motion to adjourn.
All right. I heard Mr. Ricks and Mrs. Combs, so we'll take that as the first and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, the motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.